Right. 10 March 2022. And today I decided to start off with the young man praising Nelson Chamisa. And obviously, as you know, during election year, it's Chamisa every day. The 2018 election, you remember, we made over 200 videos on Chamisa. Most of you didn't know how we made 200 videos on Chamisa because the amount of energy that we've got is amazing. We've got this energy to do this. If I'm in a coma, I'll wake up and make a video about Chamisa and his policies and the change and so forth that is being promised to the people of Zimbabwe, because the elections that we're going into are different. They're not the same as the last elections. I want you to understand this. We are going to see something in this election that we've never seen before. And it's important for us to be on top of the situation every day. Unfortunately, I'm still having power issues, so you forgive me. My systems are not working well. My servers are sitting in a place where there's load shedding right now. Although here where I am, there's no load shedding. So I am failing to access some of my videos, so I will have to be touching my screen so that I can play some of the videos. So I want to look at the Agenda 2022, which was announced by Nelson Chamisa tonight. It was about 53 minutes, and Chamisa announced 5 pillars. And I was very disappointed with the announcement because there are still 2 or 3 things that Chamisa is not doing and is not doing properly. So let's first of all go to what Chamisa announced. So as I said, you have to forgive me. I'm going to be touching my screen because my servers are stuck. So I can't go to my system at the data center. So let me use my phone right now. I want to play for you the video of what Chamisa said this evening.
Pillar number 1, in terms of citizen action for change. Let me go to the next pillar, which is the next pillar to deal with what we want to see in communities, as we believe in our capacities and our creativity and innovativeness. You will see that we are going to be more embedded in communities, doing community work, doing things that change lives for the full realization of the potential of our great nation. To the third pillar, which is the action for an alternative government. We are going to make a particular emphasis on the alternative agenda that we have in policies, in programs. Gone are the days where we would just oppose for the sake of it. We are going to be launching a great Zimbabwe blueprint, which will include what we are going to experience when we have crossed to get to a free Zimbabwe, to a new Zimbabwe. The fourth item, the pillar, is a pillar that speaks to an agenda for reforms. We need electoral reforms. We need constitutional reforms. We need political reforms. We are in a country where you find that we have serious problems, and we have identified just the critical 7 demands that we have, critical reforms that have to be deal breakers. Fellow citizens, let me go to the last pillar, which is the global action for change. Solidarity is very important. We are going to be going to the various capitals of our African continent, the region of SADC, to seek and organize for change, to also seek the solidarity of the region in mobilizing for change in Zimbabwe.
Right. So if you listen to Chamisa, you can see that in the 53 minutes, he is focusing on the same issues that he focuses on during rallies. And that is not an agenda. An agenda is a leadership statement. That is what you do as a leader when you're articulating your intentions to your audience. So your audience is internal and your audience is external. Chamisa, right now, if I say out of the 5 pillars that he articulated tonight, what is his intention? It's clear that there's no agenda there. He has described the problems in Zimbabwe. He has described what he wants to do what people should do, and so forth. But Chamisa did not describe the agenda. What is the agenda for Chamisa? The agenda for Chamisa is one item: to get into office. That is his agenda for 2022 going into 2023. That is what I expected to hear Chamisa say. How do I get to be the president of Zimbabwe? It's not clear what Chamisa intends to do to become president of Zimbabwe. And I'll give you what Chamisa needs to do. I've said this almost on a daily basis. For Chamisa to become the president of Zimbabwe, firstly, there has to be dialogue. So that is the key activity and task for Nelson Chamisa, because without dialogue, Chamisa cannot become president of Zimbabwe. He said nothing about dialogue. And I want to assure you that if there's no dialogue this 2022, going into 2023, everything else that Chamisa is saying is not going to happen. And the reason being, firstly, Chamisa says he's going to get a landslide. That's what he said in this agenda. I really urge you to go and watch this 53 minutes address by Chamisa. He said he's going to have a landslide. And we all know that this is not true. Chamisa is not going to have a landslide in Zimbabwe. It's not possible for Chamisa to get a landslide because he does not have national support. I've always said this. Chamisa cannot get a landslide. So whatever is going to happen in 2023 will require cooperation. It will require people to work together. And Chamisa does not understand the concept of, I don't want to use the word does not understand. He's not seeing the importance of managing a transition. Let's say you're going to win an election and you're not in power. You have to understand how to manage a transition. How do you get a transition? You have to get a baton from the guy who's in office and you get it handed over to you. So what Nelson Chamisa has been doing is to say, I don't want to talk to Idi Mnangagwa. I don't want to be friends with him at all. He's a thug. His people are violent. So all these things that I've always been talking about. Instead, Chamisa should understand that President Mnangagwa is going into his last term. President Mnangagwa is Chamisa's best friend at the moment because they both want the same thing. They all want a transition, a smooth transition, so that President Mnangagwa can build his legacy. And Chamisa, if he's going to get into office, he wants to get into office smoothly. He wants to be handed over the power without problems. So dialogue is going to be key. I expect Chamisa to put everything else down and focus on how to get dialogue with President Idi Mnangagwa. And he said this. Let me play for you a short clip.
We have to come together, all of us, different classes, different tribes. Let's unite. Together we are bigger. Together we are better. Together we can achieve the change that we want to see. We need to remain united as a people, at family level, at community level. Let's bring everyone together. It's no longer about this party or that party. We have to get all of us to come together and play our part.
Right. So, without making this long, it's simple. Chamisa does not yet understand his agenda. One agenda item, which is to get into office. Getting into office must be everything for Chamisa, and getting into office can only be done through dialogue. There is no other way. All the reforms that Chamisa wants, especially the reforms to do with registering to vote, those are doable. They're very easy. Political reforms, very, very easy. In fact, out of the 7 demands that Chamisa has got, there's nothing that is difficult. As long as he does what I am saying now, he has to seek dialogue. He has to publicly seek dialogue. And he's got 1 year to go. President Mnangagwa has got 1 year in this term. He has to put down his claim of having won the 2018 election. And that is going to make things much, much easier for Nelson Chamisa. The CCC must be a new political party. compared to the MDC alliance, which Chamisa was leading. The attitude of the CCC needs to be different. That is the only way that Chamisa can get into office. Otherwise, a polarized environment, it will help him in terms of gaining public sympathy and so forth, but it won't help him to get into office because ZANU-PF is very, very strong. I always say this, Chamisa can't get a landslide. It's not possible. You're going to see this. We'll be back here in 2 weeks' time after the by-elections. Chamisa is not going to be winning by 80% everywhere because that is the landslide. If he starts winning by over 75%, then we say Chamisa has got a landslide. This is not going to happen. He's going to lose in key areas. So there's going to be need to compromise. That is important. The compromise needs to be there. Then obviously, as I said, he needs to understand that he's in transition. And then going back to the most important issue, he needs to stop being a one-man band. So you can see when Chamisa is addressing, he's alone, the structures are not yet in place, the leadership team is not yet in place. The constitution is unknown to the members. So Chamisa needs to build his party. We need to see that party forming. The CCC must form, and they must stop the conspiracy theories and trying to do things in the dark. They must out there in the open. Chamisa is doing well. He's having rallies. This weekend he's having 4 or 5 rallies. I've already talked about Marondera at Dhaka Stadium. I think he's going to be doing one in Bedbridge and 2 more areas. I don't know the other 2 areas. I'll check them out. But Chamisa is doing well in terms of going around. But the actual agenda item is how to get into office. And that is where Chamisa is not doing well. Because he's going to have to change his narrative. He will have to go into dialogue with ZANU-PF. He's going to have to respect ZANU-PF people, because to win, ZANU-PF people are going to need to vote for Chamisa. If ZANU-PF people don't vote for Chamisa, there's no way he's going to get the landslide that he's talking about. And that is the agenda item. When he's speaking, I even expect to see him talking to ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF people, ZANU-PF supporters. At the moment, he's not currently talking to those people. So that is it. And I'm sorry, as I said, I've got load shedding. My servers are down at the moment, so I have to put this to put this to an end. Let's see what Chamisa is going to say on Saturday. I really want to see if he goes back to this issue of dialogue. And as I said, President Mnangagwa now the best friend of Nelson Chamisa, because he's going to his last term. He's going to want to see Zimbabwe prospering, Zimbabwe doing well, things stabilizing in the country. He wants to see those sanctions removed. And if Chamisa plays his cards well, we're going to see good cooperation between the 2 political parties and the 2 political leaders, because they all want the same thing, but they can't do it without that dialogue. And I know that Pollard is dead, so they have to wake up another new structure for dialogue. And this means Chamisa has to go out there to approach President Mnangagwa again, recognize him as someone who won the 2018 elections. Because what is it going to cost him if he says, okay, I put away my claim that I won the 2018 elections. Let's go into the 2023 elections, which is only a few hundred days away. And then let's normalize the environment in the country. Let's work together on the reforms. So obviously you make that demand. I'll do this in public if you guys agree to give us the reforms. And you will see the situation in the country will change. The gesture politics is not going to work this time around. The CCC cannot do the gesture politics, because that is going to be a mistake. Right, I want to end it here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back on Saturday. Senator Kalipani Pugeni, I hope to see him on Saturday. Maybe we'll have a look at other issues, or we can talk about the rallies. But I know that Senator Kalipani Pugeni is now around. So let me talk to him. And on Sunday, I'll have my brother, Mr. Pangalia Mhlanga. Thank you very much. And I leave you watching CCC President Nelson Chamisa.
Pillar number 1, in terms of citizen action for change. Let me go to the next pillar, which is the next pillar to deal with what we want to see in communities. as we believe in our capacities and our creativity and innovativeness. You will see that we are going to be more embedded in communities, doing community work, doing things that change lives for the full realization of the potential of our great nation. To the third pillar, which is the action for an alternative government. We are going to make a particular emphasis on the alternative agenda that we have in policies, in programs. Gone are the days where we would just oppose for the sake of it. We are going to be launching a great Zimbabwe blueprint, which will include what we are going to experience when we have crossed to get to a free Zimbabwe, to a new Zimbabwe. The fourth item, the pillar, is a pillar that speaks to an agenda for reforms. We need electoral reforms. We need constitutional reforms. We need political reforms. We are in a country where you find that we have serious problems, and we have identified just the critical 7 demands that we have, critical reforms that have to be deal breakers. Fellow citizens, let me go to the last pillar, which is the global action for change. Solidarity is very important. We are going to be going to the various capitals of our African continent, the region of SADC, to seek and organize for change. We have to come together, all of us, different classes, different tribes. Let's unite. Together we are bigger. Together we are better. Together we can achieve the change that we want to see.
Uyo uko kuno apo